Welcome to another edition of Our City. Today is Monday, February 18th, and City Hall is closed today due to the anniversary of our first president, George Washington. A few things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. Tomorrow, Tuesday, February 19th, I'm going to host a luncheon for the Elizabeth High School Band on the third floor in City Hall. The high school band won a national competition this year and finished in first place, as they did last year. And I'll be honored to host them in my office, celebrating their success, as we did with the high school football team last week. And then next week, we're going to have the wrestling team in, which also finished in first place in the state tournament. Later that evening at 6 o'clock, the 20th Legislative District, which is Senator Raymond Lesniak, Assemblyman Joe Cryan, and Assemblywoman Annette Quijano, will open up an office in the city of Elizabeth. The ribbon cutting will occur at 55 Jefferson Avenue, right around the corner from City Hall, and we look forward to welcoming Senator Lesniak, Assemblyman Joe Cryan, and Assemblywoman Annette Quijano to their new offices here in the city of Elizabeth. On Wednesday, February 20th, I'm going to deliver our State of the City speech to the Rotary Club. I've already done it in City Council chambers on January 1st and before the business community at the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce. And this Wednesday, I will do it for the Rotary Club of the City of Elizabeth at the Garden Restaurant in Union. For more information, you can call 352-7300. And that evening, I'm going to join the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce. They will have their business after hours social event, and it's a networking event that will be held at Valenka's Restaurant in Monroe Avenue, 665 Monroe Avenue in the city of Elizabeth. For more information, you can call the Chamber at 355-7600. And on Thursday, February 21st, I'm going to attend the grand opening and the ribbon cutting of Action Staffing on Elizabeth Avenue, and that is going to be the subject of this evening's first segment on tonight's show. On Saturday, February 23rd at 2 o'clock, I'm going to attend an upcoming play. It's presented by the United Youth of New Jersey. And Who Was Harriet Tubman? Produced and directed by Kenneth and Charlotte Brown, the play is based on the life and times of Harriet Tubman, who worked as an agent with the Underground Railroad in the 1800s. And as all of us know, the Underground Railroad network flowed through the state of New Jersey at numerous locations. And some people think there was a stop in the city of Elizabeth connecting the Elizabeth River with the Belch and Ogden Mansion. The event is sponsored by the Union County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs, the Department of Parks and Community Renewal. So for more information, you can call 436-9212, or you can email culturalinfo@ucnj.org. That's culturalinfo@ucnj.org. And I'm pleased to be joined also that evening, the Portuguese Lions, will host their 34th anniversary dinner. It'll be held at the Portuguese Instructive Social Club at 409 U.S. Highway 1 and Grove Street. If you need more information concerning these events or any other events, please call our Public Information Office at 820-4124. Now, I'm pleased to be joined on the first segment of this show talking about the grand opening of Action Staffing Group, Mr. Mark Weiss, who is the president and CEO. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Edwin Morales, who is the vice president of sales and operation. Mr. Edwin Morales, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Now, first of all, now that you're here, tell us a little about yourselves. Mark, we'll start with you. You're the president, and Edwin, we know you've been working here in the city of Elizabeth now for a couple of years. Mark, tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, Edwin and I have been working together since 2005 in the staffing industry. But for myself in particular, I spent the first 15 years of my career in the apparel center in a number of different corporate positions. I actually worked for the Gerber Products Company for 8 years. And through that experience, I learned a lot about what companies expect from workers. The last company I worked for, unfortunately, ran into financial problems and they went out of business. I found myself in the office of a recruitment company. And halfway through the interview, the person hired me on the spot, and that's how I got involved with the staffing industry. Working in the industry, I quickly learned how to apply what I knew customers wanted from their workers. And I actually learned how to find the workers that would fit the task by understanding what the needs were of the company. realizing very quickly that there was a tremendous responsibility on me to prepare the candidate for work and to find the best candidate for that job. As I entered into the business, I worked for two companies, one of which was Geneva Staffing Company, and then I worked for America Works. I learned very quickly the sensitivities of the workforce and understanding the population at hand that I'm dealing with. Back in 2003, I became the president and CEO of a company called Tuttle Specialty Staffing, and just last year branched out on my own, creating Action Staffing Group, which I am the president, CEO, and owner of. And by my side, as I said earlier, since 2005, has been Edwin Morales, resident of Elizabeth, knows the population, knows the surrounding areas very well, and we've made a dynamic team serving the needs of the community and the customers.
Edwin, I met you a few years ago when you opened up the agency on Dickinson Street, and you've been working here in our city. So tell us a little about yourself as well.
Well, I come from the garment industry as well as Mark. Worked there 15 years here in Elizabeth. At the time, we used to utilize a temp service where we brought in 60 candidates on a daily basis. What happened was they went under. So being as I had a little knowledge of the staffing industry, I reached out to Mark, who was working in New York, sent him an email at 1:30 in the morning explaining what I can do.
Oh, you're one of those guys sending emails at 1:30 in the morning,
yes.
huh?
And I read them, which is the scary part.
Yeah, he read it. He sent me an interview at 9 o'clock that same morning. Went out to the city, met with him, and I told him that, you know, what I can do to invest in Elizabeth, because this is what I know. This is where I'm from, born and raised, and still live in Elizabeth. Know the population, companies in the area. So, excuse me. So what we did was we just got together and got it going.
Now, one of the things you guys do, Mark, is you both have a history of getting people into the workforce with good paying jobs. What's interesting is no matter their past, how do you do that? I mean, that's...
It's challenging. Now, I like to think of our approach as really a mentorship agency. We are the perfect stopgap for some people that have possibly gotten into some problems in their life, and they present themselves to us and they really want to start the next phase of their career. They want to right themselves. So what we do is we'll sit down, we'll talk with the individual, and we truly are an equal opportunity agency. We don't discriminate against anyone. Anyone that has a good work ethic and wants to do their best is welcomed at our door. And our statistics and success prove that. So we take on the role of mentorship, which means we'll sit down with the individual, we'll talk about where they've been, what they've done, and most importantly, we'll talk about the work that's being done and the behavior that's necessary in the workplace. And very often, I like to consider ourselves being an unusual agency in the sense that we take the time and the care to talk and teach. We'll show training videos in our office. We'll prep candidates for the interview. We tell them how to dress. We teach them how to behave during the interview because a lot of them have no skills whatsoever. And most importantly, we make sure they go to work. Now we have a transportation network that Edwin runs for me so that we make sure that we can transport people safely and compliantly to the work site, and then we pick them up. We also monitor how they're doing. We'll talk with the person they're reporting to. If there's an issue with behavior performance, we intervene. So there's a lot of support that goes into the process. A person just doesn't come to our office and get sent out. We like to get to know the individual. Mm-hmm. And as we all know, convicted felons are a protected class in the state of New Jersey and New York. But it's all about image. And corporate customers want to know that they can feel comfortable, that they're not going to run into any problems, you know. And I'm all about giving people a chance, but it's all about education. It's all about controlling the circumstances for a positive effect.
Now, when Mark mentioned the transportation network that you have and the vans that you have, you told me before the show started that's one of the ways you can get a lot of people to work in different areas and as well as expand.
Absolutely. We have contracts with companies outside of Elizabeth, Union County, where there's a need. So what we do, some of these candidates don't have sufficient funds at the moment, transportation. So what we do is they meet us at the office. We load them up on the vans. We take them to work, get them there on time. At the end of the day, we come back and pick them up. that works out fine. And it allows people now to go a little further out to find employment.
And if people aren't there on time, they miss their ride.
They miss their ride. Some companies will be like, there's a replacement on standby, bring them, depending on, what the arrangements we have with the client. But that's the good thing about it. They know they have to be here, because if they don't show up, the replacement is right on standby. It works out fine.
So for every job that's out there, you probably have a replacement. There's somebody waiting, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's challenging in the sense that people often say to us, well, given the job market the way it is, you probably have the easiest job in America finding people. It's actually much more difficult, because everybody's out there competing for a job. So you get a lot of person with no skills, jack of all trades, master of none. And along with entry-level positions, we also do a lot of skilled labor, which has certain requirements of experience, education, and finding folks is very challenging.
Now, one of the things the state legislature started doing this month, they had hearings on banning the box, the check box where, all the applications in New Jersey have you been convicted? You know what I mean by ban the box. It's been done in Chicago and been done in Illinois and some other states. Do you think that'll happen here in New Jersey?
Whether it does or it doesn't, I honestly don't know. But whether it does or doesn't, that's only part of the challenge. The true challenge is dealing with your customers, okay, who appropriately, legally, will do background checks. They'll ask us to do background checks. And then you find out that someone has something in their record years ago. The customers that are more liberal and lenient on their policies and give people a chance to come back into the workforce and be productive are the companies that we really enjoy working with. And we try and educate our customers all the time. Regardless of what box gets checked off, Mr. Mayor, the issue is, will we have an opportunity to employ these people working on a performance-based job at one of our client companies, or will they be excluded from the process?
So you talked about the challenges. Edwin, what are some of the rewards?
Knowing that someone who had their doors shut down wherever they applied, they can count on us. And like he said, we always work with the client, teach them where they're looking at the candidate by his performance versus his past. And we prep them before they go out there. And we always tell them, your work speaks, your attitude and your work performance speaks for you. That's all you got to do. And I'll tell you, 9 out of 10, it works out. And knowing that we were able to get past that obstacle and they get hired, it's to me, it's just rewarding. I mean,
so what type of jobs are available? You hinted at skilled and unskilled. What type of jobs are available? Warehousing jobs or
Well, starting with the most entry level, general warehouse person, a driver helper who may go out and help with deliveries. A little bit more involved is a product selector who may be working on a power jack or certain types of equipment. Then you've got maintenance positions with simple equipment specifications. We also employ CDL drivers, commercial drivers. Not an easy task finding an unemployed commercial driver, but we find them. And I'm very proud to say over the last 3 months, we actually were able to get 8 drivers hired by our clients, which is a wonderful thing when we can go into our lobby in our office and tell people sitting in the folding chairs, listen, today you're an employee of Action Staffing Group. Tomorrow you could be an employer of ABC Company with all the benefits that they offer, maybe union membership. And that's really the key. If we can be a bridge to take someone from where they are now, displaced, out of work, maybe they had an issue in their life, maybe they didn't, and get them into a situation where they go out. I have a plaque on my wall. It says, today, when you go to work, get caught doing something right. Because we stress the positive at Action Staffing, not the negative. And when you enter our doors, everyone is treated equally. The race starts today. He who wins it, she who wins it, it's wonderful.
So what are you most proud of, Edwin, of the Action Staffing Group?
Being able to help the Elizabeth residents. This is where I live at. This is where I shop at. And I interact a lot with the folks, whether I'm at the mall, and they always come up to me explaining, look, they need work. And I always come down. I tell them, come down, bring your resume, see how I can help you out. And there's times that, a good portion of the time I'm able to help them out.
Tell us, Edwin, where are you located now?
We're located 1137 Elizabeth Avenue.
And how do they contact you?
You can go to our website, or you can come stop by at our office.
On 11?
1137 Elizabeth Avenue.
And what are the hours? Are you open during the day or at night?
We virtually never close, but the physical hours in the office start at 3 a.m. in the morning. And we're there generally till 6 o'clock. We're there on Saturday mornings. But because we have 24/7 projects, a lot of times you'll see the lights on at off hours of the day. The phones are always open, the cell phones are always open, the website's always open, and it truly is interactive. For instance, this time of the year, our customer base, our clients, are so concerned about having access to their W-2s on time. At many agencies, you have to wait until they're processed. With us, you go online, click a button, you print your own. We also print our own checks on site, so if there's ever an issue with someone's paycheck, you don't have to wait weeks for the payroll department to fix it. We fix it while you're standing at the counter, which I'm very proud of, because if I get paid each week, so does everybody else. That's the way I feel.
Good. Mark and Edwin, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show.
Thank you.
I wish you lots of luck in your
Thank you.
venture there, because it sure is a needed enterprise that we have here in the city of Elizabeth. We appreciate all the work you're
Thank you
doing.
very much,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mark.
Mayor. President.
Thank you,
Thanks
Edwin.
for having us here.
Please stay with us after these messages, where I'll be joined by Chris Lissy, the acting fire official here in the city of Elizabeth. And I want to thank Mark and Edwin for being on the show on the first half. Welcome back to our city, where I'm joined on the second half of the show by Mr. Chris Lissy, who is the acting fire official here in our city. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. You've been with the fire department for a few years now.
I have 25 years this May. I'll complete 25 years of service, and prior to that, 5 years with EMS, which is part of the fire department now. So a total of 30 years for the city.
30 years in the system.
Awesome.
Good for you. And the Fire Prevention Bureau, where is it located? What does it do? A lot of people don't even know what the role is, but it's mandated by law on the efforts that you try to make buildings safe.
Right. We're located at 411 Irvington Avenue, third floor, and our job is to educate the public on fires, okay, and prevention of fires. Educate the students in schools for the prevention of fire and safety, investigation of fires, and do inspection of businesses to make them safe for the city. And we also have what they call a Firehawk program, which is, unfortunately, sometimes students start fires, and we like to bring them into our office and talk to them and see if there's an ongoing problem that we're trying to avoid down the line.
Well, when I had the fire in my house a few years ago, as you know, my daughter was downstairs, and I said to her, Jacqueline, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. We had to get out of the house. It was a snowstorm. It was just like the other night. We had to get out of the house, and she sat. She was 4 or 5 years old, and I said, we got to get out. And she says, Daddy, when do I stop, drop, and roll? So she obviously knew that from
Awesome.
school,
Yes.
and she knew what to do, but I said, Jacqueline, we don't have to do that. We just got to get out. The
Correct.
fire's not that hot yet.
And when you get out, close the door behind you.
Right.
Because when you leave the doors open, that spreads the fire, and we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, but as we were leaving, the firemen were arriving, so
That's
they
good.
need the door open.
That's good. That's even better.
That's even better. So the fires that we've had this year, what are some of the causes?
Many of them. Electrical in nature, extension cords too close to the beds, too many plugs in
Why
the
is an
electrical
extension
outlets.
cord too close to the bed a problem?
The problem is when they plug their whatever appliance is in, the cord that belongs to that appliance isn't long enough. So what they do, they'll take the extension cord and use it as a permanent fixture, which we don't want them to do. Because what happens is it's not made for a permanent fixture. They get hot and they can cause fire.
What about those space bars? Are they helpful or not helpful?
The space heaters,
No, not the space heaters. The ones where you have 5 or 6 things that you can plug
the
into.
adapters.
The adapters.
Very bad.
Yeah.
Electrical outlets are made for 2 to 4 plugs. When you get these bigger outlets, it causes too much electricity. All right, causes the plugs to become hot and the cords become hot and cause fires.
So the more things running through there at one time. So if you got 4 things on there and you're running all 4 at the one time, it becomes hotter.
Correct.
So if you're only running at one time, it's okay.
Correct.
But it's a problem if you got the light on, the phone on, the treadmill, and the refrigerator all plugged in or
Correct.
something.
If it's made for 2, you put 2 plugs in. If it's made for 4, you put 4 plugs in. Don't add to them that's not supposed to be there. That's what causes the
Don't
problem.
use them all at once.
Correct.
The candle fires are preventable, and other types of home fires can be prevented. Tell us about that.
As I said earlier, electrical. Okay. Sometimes the residents use space heaters, and they put them too close to the beds because they're cold. They're too close to what we call combustibles, curtains, that type of material, and they get too hot, and the curtains and beds start on fire, and we have bigger problems. And as I said earlier, close the door behind you when you leave, and please call 911. Don't hesitate. You're not going to get in trouble. We want you to call 911. We want to notify the fire department immediately.
Now, if you have a space heater, should you put anything on top of it?
No, absolutely not, because they get hot. All right, try to keep them away, at least 15, 20 feet away from that combustible, as I mentioned earlier.
Anything near the space heater would cause great difficulty.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us about safety equipment in the home.
Well, smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors on all floors, including the attic and the basement. Use them. That's what they're there for. They're not very expensive. We encourage you to buy them. Put them in there. They're safety. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas. We need those detectors to let us know that something is wrong.
Why in the attic?
Again, just the space, because this carbon monoxide, some facilities have their heaters in the attic, okay? They might not be burning properly, causing this carbon monoxide gas to expel. It's going to pick it up and let us know and notify the homeowner immediately to get
Now,
out.
if you have a system that's tied into your electrical system and it's not battery operated, what happens if the electricity goes out?
Well, the smoke detectors now are battery operated. So if you do lose electricity, you have the battery backup. And we encourage people, daylight saving time, to change the batteries.
Even in those systems?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what they're made for.
Now, the fire carbon monoxide detectors that people should have in their houses and apartments, suppose they're right near the stove and they constantly go off.
Well, you can call the office. All our personnel in the office are well educated on where we want you to put them. Obviously, we don't want you to put them near the stove. We want you putting on the outside hallway, the smoke detectors, and all smoke detectors in the hallways, and the carbon monoxide detectors in the rooms, in the bedrooms, occupied areas.
If you live in an apartment building, should the landlord be providing these detectors? Should the renters call the landlord? What's the situation?
Well, we want you to have them. Yes, the landlord should, but if there's a problem, please call us, 908-820-4040. Our personnel will let you know exactly what you need.
And sometimes at the National Night Out and other things, we're actually giving them away.
Yes, absolutely. They're available. We have grants through the state that give us smoke detectors. They're available.
We can get them, and if not, tell you where you can go get them.
Absolutely. Call Fire Prevention Bureau, and we'll make arrangements, and we'll get them to you.
You know, the next question my staff prepared is interesting. We often hear about fires that begin in fireplaces. Well, I'm one of those guys that had a fire begin in his fireplace because the brick wall where the fire was going actually breached the house wall.
Wow.
And it caused a fire in between the house and the chimney. So you can clean it, but how do you prevent those fires from starting when their house may be 70 years old? And the breach occurred and you don't even know it.
Well, prevention, as always. Prevention of the area, okay? Making sure that, you look at the brickwork, they're not cracked. If you feel there's something wrong, notify a licensed contractor that's familiar with this. Make sure your chimneys are cleaned at all times, okay? When you do leave the area, make sure the fire's out. Don't leave it burning by itself. And if you're going to take the wood or whatever you're burning inside there, get it out and put it into a safe area and make sure it's extinguished accordingly. Do not leave the stuff in there. Wear and tear, we just have to be preventive and make sure we watch these things all the time.
I got to tell you, since I had a fire in my fireplace, I haven't used the fireplace.
Why not? Wow.
I got a brand new one, and I just haven't used it again. Any other tips that you'd give fire homeowners or renters?
Yes. I know it's hard, tough times, but insurance is very, very important. You need insurance. Insurance covers you. And if you have any questions, notify us. Again, 908-820-4040. And even more so, during this winter, is adopt a hydrant. If you see a hydrant close to your house, clean it. Keep the hydrant open. That makes it easier for us. If we get a fire there, that we're able to hook into that hydrant to give us water.
So if a homeowner shovels away from the hydrant, it's important, especially this time of year.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just less time that we have to clear it and hook into the hydrant to give us water.
Chris, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show this evening and talk a little bit about fire prevention. Do you enjoy going to meet with the kids?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
That's good.
Stop, drop, and roll.
That's right. Well, I appreciate all the work that you do in making our city safe.
Thank you,
for
Mayor.
being here.
Thank you for having me.
For Mr. Chris Lissy of our Fire Prevention Bureau and Mr. Mark Weiss, as well as Edmund Morales on the first part of our show, that's it for Our City. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.